So I normally shoot these videos on the morning after games with some bad hotel coffee. My wake-up call is egregiously early tomorrow morning, so I'm doing this the night after the game with bad red wine. It doesn't quite have the same ring to it, but it'll have to do. Let's talk about the game. Ticats lose 20-18 on a last-second field goal. Obviously dealing with a number of injury issues, which have been well documented. That said, some of the things the Ticats did in this game, I don't think were injury related. Giving up the big plays that they did, I think were quite costly. And while some of that could be attributed to injuries, particularly in the reshuffled secondary, some of the players that gave up those big plays were veteran guys, guys that have been playing for much of the year. The Brett Maher missing 2 field goals, that's not something that is attributed to injuries in any way, although one of the holds, Andy Fantz used a new holder for Maher, so was that a factor? Maybe, but still, you would expect Maher to make those kicks, right? And those points made a big difference in this game. Tackling was an issue in this game, and that's not something that can be attributed to injuries either. I mean, guys just need to tackle. So I think the issues that have plagued this team continue to plague this team. Some of them are the same week after week. Some of them may be related to personnel. But at this stage of the season with 5 games left, I don't see solutions on the horizon other than the players involved at this point need to play a little bit better, because I don't see that you can continue to revamp and reshuffle the lineup with only 5 weeks to go. You need to win these games to get into the playoffs and to secure a home playoff date, and you need to so you can't be figuring stuff out at this stage of the game. It's got to be figured out. It's got to get figured out quickly. So we should probably talk about the penalty. I talked to Mike Filer after the game. He said didn't do anything different than he normally does, and there was no warning, which he said you sometimes get about moving the ball, but he's never been called for it in the past. I've never seen it called in my 8 years covering this league. I've never seen it called in a game I covered, and I've never seen it called in a game I watched that I can remember. So a very bizarre call, to say the least. I'll be asking the league for an explanation, but it was bizarre, and it cost the Ticats a possession. Now, was it a factor in the overall outcome of the game, given the fact that it took the lead afterwards and everything else that transpired afterwards? Again, debatable, but one of those things that you shouldn't have to deal with in the middle of a game. And it also precipitated a fairly significant outburst from Kent Austin. That outburst cost him 10 yards, but more than that, if Austin made contact with the official on the sideline, and I think there's some question about whether he did, then he could be facing supplementary discipline, sometime this week, and that could have an impact as well. So, yeah, just a weird call and not one that makes a ton of sense. And we've been talking about officiating all year long, and this type of thing certainly doesn't help. So, as for the rest of my trip to Regina, it rained essentially from the moment I arrived, and it was still raining more or less through the game, and it was raining when I left the stadium, and so a bit of a wash, to use a terrible pun. So be nice to get home and get back to work, I guess. Reporting from the Hotel Saskatchewan in Regina, Saskatchewan, drinking bad red wine, which is not from Saskatchewan. I'm Drew Edwards.